Let's see how to install Moodle on Ubuntu 24.04. So the first thing we need to know is that Moodle uses MySQL 8.4. And I assume that there is a high probability that you already have MySQL, but not the version that we want. So for example, if I'm running MySQL -- version, we can see that in my case I have version 8.0. And this is to be expected because this is what's in the repositories of Ubuntu 24.04, right? Even if I go sudo apt install MySQL, it should be MySQL server. So it's going to tell me that I already have it installed, but this is the version that we have. But as I said, Moodle expects version 8.4. So what we're going to do first is to install MySQL 8.4, and to do that, we first need to uninstall this version of MySQL. So let's see how we can do that. I'm going to run sudo apt purge. This is the command that we're going to use to uninstall the packages that belong to MySQL 8.0. So sudo apt purge MySQL, and as you can see, I have quite a lot of them. We want to uninstall all of them. So here I'm going to add a star, and this will uninstall all of these packages. So let's go ahead and remove them. And it's letting us know that some disk space will be freed. That's fine, so yes. Okay, and it was uninstalled. And now we need to run apt install. So sudo apt install. And I'm not going to install any specific package, but it will help us see if there is anything that needs to be taken care of. So let's run this. And as you can see, it says that we should run this command, sudo apt auto remove. So let me copy this, and let's run this one as well. So sudo apt auto remove. Okay, and it will remove some unused stuff. Okay. And now we should have completely wiped out MySQL 8.0. Now we should be good to go with the installation of MySQL 8.4. So to do that, I'm going here to mysql.com, just like this. Here I'm going to choose downloads. And if we scroll down, we can see here MySQL community downloads. This is what we need. And here I'm going to choose MySQL community server. Next, we need to select the version. I will choose 8.4. Then we need to choose the operating system, which is going to be Ubuntu Linux. And then we need to select the operating system version, which is going to be 24.04. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of deb packages that can be installed individually, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just install the bundle that will install everything that we're going to need. So here I'm going to click on download. And now, since I don't want to download it to my local computer, right, I want to install it on my server. So what I'm going to do here is right click on this link and copy link. And now let me create a new folder. Let me call it MySQL 8.4. So make directory MySQL 8.4. And let's change directory to this new folder. So cd MySQL 8.4. And here I want to download the bundle for MySQL 8.4. So here I'm going to use wget. And then I'm going to paste here the link that I just copied from here. So once again, I can right click and copy link. And then I'm going to paste the link here. And as you can see, it's a debbundle.tar. So let's go ahead and download this tar archive. Okay, and it's being downloaded. It will only take a few minutes. Okay, and the download is done. And if I list the files now with ls, we can see here the debbundle.tar. I now want to extract the files from this archive, and this is something we can do with the tar command. So tar-xf for extract file, and then the name of the file, which is mysql-server, blah, blah, blah. So let's run this command, and it will extract all of the content of the tar archive. And now if I run ls again, we can see all of these deb packages that were extracted from this file, from the tar archive. Now we need to install them one by one. We're not really going to do it one by one. We're going to do like a bunch of them at a time. But the order matters. So we need to start with the installation of these ones, and only after we're done with these, we can install the first two. So let's go ahead and install these ones. And to do that, I'm going to use sudo apt install. And I want to install files from this specific folder. So // and they all start with MySQL. So MySQL. And then dash, the rest is different for different files. And this is why here I'm going to add a star. And the star is like a wildcard. So it applies to all of the files that we see here. But we have this file that we don't want, right? We only want the deb package files. So here I'm going to specify .deb. So it's basically all of these files apart from the tar archive itself. So let's go ahead and install these. And it needs some dependencies. So let's approve the installation of the dependencies. So yes. Okay, and it's being installed. Will take several minutes, not too long. Okay, and it's letting us know that it found the directory, and this is because we used to have a different version of MySQL. It doesn't really matter, I'm just going to hit OK, and this is fine. We now need to supply the root password for this version of MySQL, so let me type in something, and we need to re-enter the root password, so again, great, and now it's installing MySQL. Okay, and these were installed, and once again I'm going to list the files. Okay, so all of these were installed, but we didn't install the first two yet, so let's install them as well. So once again, sudo apt install, and once again it's a file in this folder, so /, and these two start with lib MySQL. And since I want both of them, I'm once again going to use the wildcard, the asterisk, and let's go ahead and install them. And these two are being installed as well. And if I now run MySQL version, we can see that now we have version 8.4. So this is fine. We should be fine in this regard. So I can close this tab. Now here, let's start with downloading Moodle. So let's go to downloads, and I'm going to click here where it says Moodle 5.1. And as you can see, there is a TGZ file or a zip file. We will go with a TGZ file. So I need to click here where it says download TGZ. And now it's starting the download on my local computer, and I'm going to cancel this download. And this is because I don't want it on this local computer. I want it on my Ubuntu server. So what I'm going to do instead is right click where it says click here to download manually. I'm going to right click here and copy link. And once again, we're going to use wget. So maybe let me go to my home folder, and here I'm once again going to use wget, and we're going to use the link to Moodle that we just copied. So let me paste the link here, and it will download Moodle to the server. So we need to give it a few minutes, and it will download directly to the server. Let's give it a few minutes. Okay, and the download is done, and if we list the files now, we can see here Moodle latest 501.tgz. So this is the Moodle installation file. This is what we need for the Moodle installation. Next, we need to make sure that we have PHP installed on the server. So to do that, I'm just going to use sudo apt install PHP. And I also want the PHP MySQL extension, because this is what's going to allow PHP to access and use MySQL. So we definitely need this extension. So let's install these two, and we need to approve. This is not a big installation, won't take too long. And along with the installation of PHP, the Apache web server was also installed. So if I now run here, systemctl status Apache or Apache 2, we can see that we already have the Apache 2 service and it's active and running. So this is fine. I can press here Q, and let's make sure that we can access the Apache web server. So let me find the IP address of my server. I can do that with IP-A or IP-BRA. And this is the IP address of my server. So let me copy this, and let's try to access the server from the browser. So here I'm going to paste the IP address of the server, and let's try to visit the website. And we can see the response from Apache. So this is fine. What I'm going to do next is, once again, let me list the files here. So do you remember this TGZ archive? This is what we need for the Moodle installation. We're going to move this file from here. So move this file, Moodle latest, and we're going to move it to /var www. Now, since this folder is protected, we need root access to move anything to it. So we're going to need sudo here, and this file was moved. Let's now change directory to this folder, to the var www folder. So cd var www. And if I list the content of this folder, we can see that we have the HTML folder, and we also have the TGZ file that we just moved. Now we're going to completely remove the HTML folder. This is the default. This is why we can see this default response from Apache. We don't need it and we don't want it. So let me completely delete this folder, the HTML folder. And I can do that with sudo rm-r, because this is the folder, so we need the -r flag, HTML. And now I want to extract the content of my TGZ archive. And I'll do that with the tar command again, so sudo tar-xf moodle blah blah blah. And this will extract the content of this tar archive. And if we list the files now, we can see that along with the TGZ tar archive, we also have this new folder, the Moodle folder. Next, we need to go to the Moodle documentation. So let's go back to the Moodle website. Now we're going to click here, and we want the documentation. So here I'm going to choose installation quick guide, but this is not what we really want. But from here we have easy access to Apache. So I'm going to click on this link, the Apache link, and then we need to scroll down a bit. We already have Apache installed, so this is fine. Now we need to go to this location. So cd etc Apache. And this is because we want to configure Apache. And inside Apache, there is a folder called sites available. This is the folder we want. Let's change directly to this folder. And in this folder, we currently have this default file. So I'm going to create here a new file, and I'll just do it with nano. So sudo nano, and you can call this new file whatever you want. I'll just call it moodle.conf, but you can use a different name if you really want. Now, what we're going to write in this file, so basically what's written here. So here, let me copy the content from here, and I'm just going to use a notepad on my local machine, on my local computer, instead of doing it directly on the server. So let me paste this snippet of code here, and we need to add at the beginning, we need to add virtual host, and then space, asterisk, colon, 80, because we want port 80. And let's close the triangle brackets. And then we also need a closing tag for the virtual host. So it's going to look this way. We need a / here, and then virtual host again. And now, just to keep things in order, let me tab or indent the rest of the lines in between. And this should be a bit clearer. So now I'm going to copy what we have here. So I'll choose everything and copy. And let me paste it to my server, to this file, to moodle.conf. So here we go. And now I'll save the file with Ctrl S and exit with Ctrl X. And now that we have that, we want to enable this new website or configuration file, and then we want to disable this default file. And we can do that with Apache commands. So first, I'm going to enable the new one. To do that, I can run sudo a2n site, like this. And the one we want to enable is this new one, so moodle.conf, here it is. So this one was enabled, and now I want to disable this one. And this can be done with sudo a2 this site, like this. And the one that we want to disable is 000, the default one. So let's run this as well. Okay, and this site was disabled. Now we need to run this command, systemctl reload apache 2 to restart Apache, but we need to add sudo at the beginning, and then we can run this command. Okay, and now the changes should take effect, and the active website should be the one that we defined here, the Moodle website. So now that we have this configuration in place, and we also have the Moodle folder inside var www, we should be good to go. So let's go back to the browser, and I'm going to refresh my page. And we can see the Moodle installation page. We need to choose a language. I'll just go with English and next. And now we need to scroll down a bit. And as we can see here the web address and the Moodle directory. These two cannot be edited. But what can be edited is this, the data directory, but I'm going to leave it the way it is, Moodle data. So it's supposed to be in var www Moodle data. So we need to create this folder. So here, let me change directory to var www. So cd var www. And here I'm going to create this folder, the Moodle data folder. So sudo make directory Moodle data. And now this folder actually exists, but we need to change the owner of this directory. And this is something that we can do with the change owner command. So sudo change owner, and the user we want to own this folder is something called www data. This is the default user for Apache. And it's written this way, www-data. And I'm also going to set the group, so www data again. And the folder that I want to change ownership for is this one, Moodle data. So let me write here the name of the folder, Moodle data. And let's run this command. And if I now run ls-l, we can see that we have here three things. We have here the Moodle folder. We have here the TGZ archive that we don't really need anymore. And we also have here Moodle data. And if we take a close look, we can see that the owner of this folder is www data. So this is fine, and this should work now. So I'm going to click on next. Next up is choosing the database. So we already have MySQL 8.4. This is great, but we need to create the database itself. So let's go back to the Moodle documentation page, and let me scroll up. And now I'm going to choose this option, installing Moodle. And we need to choose this, create an empty database. And here it depends on the database that you work with. I'm using MySQL, so I'm simply going to choose MySQL. And here are the instructions for MySQL. So I'm simply going to scroll down a bit. Okay, and here we have it, creating Moodle database. So first we need to log into MySQL with this command. So MySQL-u root-p. Let's run this, and we now need to provide the root password, or the password for the root user of MySQL. So this is the password that we chose during the installation of MySQL. Let me type it in. Okay, and if it doesn't work with the password, just run sudo MySQL like this, and this will use the authentication, the Linux authentication. So you're going to log in as the root user. This works. Now we need to create the database, and this is something that we can do with this command. So let me copy this and let's paste it here, and it will create a database called Moodle. This is the database that we need. Okay, and the database was created. By the way, up here I skipped this, and we should probably do that as well. So let me quit for a minute from MySQL. And now we need to go to this file or path, etc MySQL my.cnf. So etc, and here we have this file, mysql.cnf, and we need to edit this file. Once again, I'm going to use nano, so sudo nano mysql.cnf. And from here, we need a few more settings. So let's scroll all the way down, all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to copy this and paste it in my file. But we don't need this line, so let's remove this line, and also this one. Let's remove this one as well. And now I'm going to save my file with Ctrl S and exit with Ctrl X. And just to be on the safe side, let me restart Apache again. So sudo systemctl restart Apache 2. Okay, so let's once again open the MySQL client with sudo MySQL, and we can get back to the creation of the database. Okay, so the database itself already exists. We can see that with show databases, and we can see here the Moodle database. And now we can create a user and a password. So let me copy this and paste it here. Now notice that you really should change this. Don't go with your password. This is only for the example. You should definitely change it. You can also change the Moodle user. This is optional. It's recommended to also change it, but it's pretty much mandatory to change the password. I'm going to leave it as your password just to keep things simple, but of course, if you're going to create your website, change it. Choose something more secure. But once again, this is what I'm going to go with. And we now need to grant permissions to this user, to the Moodle user, to our Moodle database. And this can be done with this command. So let's copy it and run it as well. And of course, if you change the name of your user, if it's anything different than Moodle user, update it accordingly. But for me, the user is called Moodle user, so this is fine. And we should be fine. So quit. Okay, so MySQL is configured, and we also have the database and the user. Let's go back to our Moodle website. And here, from this dropdown, I of course going to choose MySQL because this is the database that we are working with. So next. And here we need to specify the database user, which is Moodle user in my case. So let's paste it here. And the database password is your password in my case. You need to type in your actual password. And these two are going to stay empty, and next again. Okay, and it's letting us know that the configuration is basically completed. What we need to do now is to copy this and paste it into a new file called config.php. And this file should be in the root of the Moodle installation. So let's go back to var Moodle. So cd var Moodle. And in this folder, let's create this config.php file. So sudo nano config.php. And let's paste this piece of code, the configuration. Let's paste it here. And let's save the file with Ctrl S and exit with Ctrl X. And now that this file was created, we can click on Next. And it's letting us know that Moodle requires the XML PHP extension. So let's install it. So sudo apt install PHP XML, like this. Let's run it, and we need to approve. Okay, and it was installed, and now I'm going to refresh my page. And it's now letting us know that it also needs the MB-string PHP extension. So let's install this one as well. So sudo apt install. And I'm also going to use the -y flag, so I don't need to confirm it separately. And this one is going to be PHP MB-string, just like this. And let's refresh the page again. And we need to confirm by clicking on continue. And here there is a bit more installations and configuration that we need to do. So let's see what it's missing. So first we need this PHP extension, the curl PHP extension. So once again, I'm going to apt install, so sudo apt install -y. So the first one is PHP curl, the next one is PHP zip, then PHP gd, and also PHP intel. So this one as well. And if we scroll down, we can see that we also might need the optional SOAP extension. So let's install this one as well. So PHP SOAP. And this is about it for the extensions, I think. So let's install all of these. And if we now scroll down, we can see a few more things here. So first we can see this PHP setting max input vars must be at least 5,000. So how do we change this? So let's change directory to etc php and then the installed version of PHP. In my case it's 8.3. And in this folder we have the Apache 2 subfolder. And in this folder we have this file php.ini. This is the file that we need to edit. So once again we're going to use nano. So sudo nano php.ini. And now we need to look for this max input var. So let me copy this, and when using nano to look for something we can use this where is. So this can be done with Ctrl W. So Ctrl W, and then I'm going to paste it here, max input vars, and it finds it for us. So we need to uncomment this line, and to do that I need to delete the semicolon, and instead of 1000 I'm going to change it to 5000 because this is what's written here. So let's save this file with Ctrl S and exit with Ctrl X. And now we need to restart Apache again. So sudo systemctl restart Apache 2. And another thing is Composer. So we should have Composer. And to get Composer, we can go to this website, getcomposer.org, just like this. So we need to click on download. Then we need to run this. Let's copy this, run it on our server, but maybe I'll do it in my home folder. So cd, now I am in my home folder, so let's paste these lines. Okay, and it's getting Composer, it's downloading it. Okay, and it was downloaded, and now we need to move it so it's like a global installation. So let's copy this command, let's run it as well. Okay, let's go back to our Moodle website and let's refresh again, and it seems like we are okay now. I think that we should run this. So let's do it. Let's copy this and let's move to our Moodle folder. So var www Moodle. And here I'm going to run this command. And this one has to be run with sudo because of the folder it's in. And it's giving us a warning that Composer should not be run as root. But in our case, we know exactly what we are doing because this is only going to run the fresh installation of Moodle. So it should be okay. So I'm going to go with yes. And let's run this. And if we refresh the page again, we can see that the warning about Composer is gone. The only thing that still appears here is that we don't have HTTPS, but this is okay. I'm not going to cover HTTPS in this tutorial, so I'm fine with this. So let's continue. And now the installation itself is taking place. This is quite a long process. It takes several minutes. Okay, and this is done. We can now continue, and we are basically done. We need to provide the username. I just go with admin. First name, last name, I'll go with the default values. Email address, I'll go with this thing. Then we need to provide an admin password. So let's click here and let me provide some password here. And when we are done filling in all of these details, we can scroll down and update profile. And that's it. We can start using our Moodle website.